a significant conclusion by the court that Israel's presence in the occupied Palestinian territories, so that encompasses the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza to the extent that they are present there, is unlawful. So the State of Israel is now under an obligation to bring its presence in these territories to an end as quickly as possible. It has to cease any new settlement activity and actually evacuate all the settlers from the occupied Palestinian territory.
How does this decision impact Israel's standing on the international stage?
It's very significant because the court found that Israel was in breach of a number of really fundamental principles of international law, including the prohibition on the use of force. It found that Israel's annexation of the territory of the occupied Palestinian territories was an unlawful use of force. And they also found that they were in breach of a particular aspect of the Convention on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, and that is the prohibition on racial segregation and potentially apartheid.
This decision, though, is non-binding. So beyond what you were just saying there, what does this ruling actually mean for Israel?
Well, for Israel, what this ruling does is state the law. And so we are clear on the principles of law that now apply to the situation and the consequences that flow from them. Even though Israel isn't compelled to do what the court has said it must do, those consequences just stand in any event. And so now other states like Australia, the United Nations General Assembly and institutions like that can put pressure on Israel to comply with the law.
Do you expect that they will do that?
I do, actually. I think in this case, there has been such a strong statement from the court that we are going to see third states build pressure on Israel to withdraw from the occupied Palestinian territories, yes.
And do you think that will make a difference?
Well, that's always the ultimate question. At the end of the day, the only state that has the real power to do this is Israel. And Israel tells us that it is a law-abiding state. And we would hope to see that Israel will follow through on its legal obligations.
The Israeli Prime Minister has called this decision false. What do you make of that response?
There is a tendency for states, when they have a decision that they're not in favour of, to make sort of, big statements coming out against the court, for example, saying it's biased or something along those lines. But the fact of the matter is that this decision comes from a court which has 15 judges representing all of the different legal systems around the world. And it's obviously a very strong and strongly worded decision as well. So while Netanyahu personally is not going to be in favour of this decision, there will be discussions going on behind the scenes about ways in which Israel can abide by this decision. And as I mentioned, for third states, I think it's even more significant continuing to trade with Israel in respect of products that may have come out of the occupied Palestinian territories. Rendering other aid or assistance has been declared unlawful by the court.
What does this mean for Palestinians in the territories? And although this decision does not relate to the current war in Gaza, does it have any implications for it?
So for Palestinians in the occupied Palestinian territories, it's a very significant decision in that it recognises their continued right to self-determination and Israel's continued violation of that right. As for the situation in Gaza, while this decision doesn't have a direct impact, it may well be the case that, for example, South Africa in the other genocide case that's at the ICJ presently may use some aspects of the court's reasoning in this decision to bolster its argument that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza.